For me, whilst this isn't a deal breaker, it's a trade-off that I think that Phonak would have been better to avoid. Hey guys, it's Matthew here from Hearing Tracker, keeping you up to date with all new hearing aid technology. Life is full of difficult choices. Red Sox versus Yankees, Steelers versus Cowboys, and now Audeo Life versus Audeo Paradise. Sadly, today I will not be able to help you with the first two on that list. However, you will be an expert on these hearing aids by the time you've finished watching this video and have a full understanding of some of the positives and negatives of the new Audeo Life hearing aids. If you're keen on keeping up to date with the latest news in the hearing technology world, then make sure that you subscribe to this channel, hit that grey notifications bell, and you'll be updated every time we release a new video. Phonak are pretty excited about these hearing aids, and especially with their recent updates. They originally released the Phonak Paradise hearing aid range in the summer of 2020 and have gradually added to the portfolio with their various styles, from the Audeo receiver and canal hearing aids, the Naida behind-the-ear hearing aids, and finally the Virtos, which are their custom-made in-the-ear hearing aids. Then, back at the tail end of 2021, they released the Audeo Life. This was only initially released in the P90 version, which is their premium technology level, and at that point it was only available in the US as well. Not long ago, Phonak just made two big announcements. Firstly, the Audeo Life is now available across all technology levels, and secondly, the Audeo Life is available to the rest of the world as well. The whole point in this video is to ensure that you've got one place to come where everything you need to know about these hearing aids is together. So I'll first of all start off by running through everything that there is to know about the physical components. Then I'll run through the chip inside the Audeo Life hearing aids, exactly what they can do, and all the while I'll compare them with the standard Audeo Paradise hearing aids, as there are some unique features to them and also some features missing, some of which I personally deem as essential. Both the Phonak Life hearing aids and standard Audeo come in a range of colors, which, similar to other hearing aid manufacturers, Phonak produce their hearing aids to match different hair colors, rather than just being skin-toned. Your audiologist should have a chart of colors to help choose the right colors for you. They're mainly matted nowadays, and as a result, they don't tend to catch the light. And the most popular color that patients choose in my clinic is the champagne color shown here. The Life range are all receiver in canal hearing aids, and comparing them physically to the standard Audeo Paradise, there are a few subtle differences. On the left-hand side here, you can see the Audeo Paradise, and on the right-hand side is the Phonak Life. You'll notice that they're pretty similar in terms of size, both sporting the rocker switch here, which can be programmed to act as a volume control or program switch, and it has an LED in the center to show when the hearing aids are charging. There are two microphone ports on the rear of the Audeo Life compared to the standard Audeo, which only has one. And here, if we flip the devices around, you'll notice the standard Audeo has two titanium contacts for charging, whereas the Life doesn't have any at all, as it uses inductive charging instead, which we'll cover in more detail later on in this video. Both hearing aids still have that unique, sleek Phonak design, which I liken to the Porsche of hearing aids. The standard Audeo Paradise comes in 4 different models which span across each different technology level. The R, which is rechargeable, the RT, which is rechargeable and has the telecoil, the 312, which is a size 312 disposable battery option, which doesn't have the telecoil, and finally the 13T, which is a size 13 disposable battery option, which has a built-in telecoil. If size and cosmetics is something that's really important to you, the smallest of them is the 312, but you do lose out on it being both rechargeable and having the loop system. Moving on to the Audeo Life, however, there is a single model which is available across all technology levels. This model is rechargeable, there's no disposable battery version available, and there's no option to have the telecoil built in, which again we'll come on to in more detail later on in this video. Both the Life and Paradise are available in 4 different technology levels: Essential, Standard, Advanced, and Premium. With an increase in the number of features and automation that you have access to, the more advanced the hearing aid. They still both use the same receivers as the rest of the Audeo Paradise range and therefore use the Cerishield wax guards. To be honest, I'm personally not a big fan of these wax guards, as some of my patients do have difficulty turning the dial to access the wax guards themselves. Also, those wax guards can sometimes become a little bit dislodged, so they're not always in the center, and as a result, it can be really challenging to get the old wax guards out. So, if there's anybody out there from Phonak watching this, I beg you to look at this in your future developments. Now that's the physical side of things covered. Let's talk about what's under the hood. All Paradise hearing aids are on a brand new platform built on the Prism chip, which is essentially the foundation in which those hearing aids are built. And I do get excited when we have a new generation of hearing aid that also has a brand new chip. In those instances, we tend to see bigger advances by way of processing capabilities. From your perspective, that normally means that the hearing aid is able to process more information simultaneously. Both the Audeo Paradise and Audeo Life are built on that same Prism chip, which means that they have the following key features. We've seen big improvements on Phonak Bluetooth connectivity over and above their previous Marvel hearing aids. This now allows for up to 8 pairings with different Bluetooth devices. This is a huge improvement over the single device that we were able to connect with using the Marvel portfolio. So building on that, one of the biggest complaints that I had from my Phonak Marvel hearing aid users was that if they wanted to go from one Bluetooth device to another, say from their cell phone to a laptop, then they would have to repair every time they made the switch. This is now a thing of the past, with the new Phonak chip allowing simultaneous pairings with 2 devices. Phonak were the first manufacturers to release made-for-all Bluetooth technology, meaning that as their hearing aids use classic Bluetooth, the hearing aids can be paired with any phone that has Bluetooth. So not only smartphones on Android or iOS, but any Bluetooth cell phone at all. If you're thinking, why do I even need Bluetooth in my hearing aids and why does Matthew keep going on about it? It's a great question to ask, and I've made a video covering this exact subject, which I'll link in the description to today's video. However, in summary, it means that you can stream phone calls, music, and the radio or podcasts directly to both of your hearing aids with no intermediate device. There's even an app that allows you to manually make adjustments to the settings on your hearing aids if you want to override the automatic settings set up by your audiologist. Phonak also allow you to make hands-free calls using their hearing aids, which is something that's just starting to appear with other manufacturers now. What this means in practice is that not only is the sound from your phone sent directly to your hearing aids for you to hear, but your own voice is cleverly picked up by the microphones on your hearing aids and sent to the other person on the end of the line. This means that technically you can keep your phone in your pocket and you should be able to have a truly hands-free call without any other accessories being necessary. Now, I have found that whilst this is great in theory, some patients are reporting that there are issues with those microphones picking up a lot of the sound around the hearing aid user. So sometimes if phone calls are taken in particularly noisy environments, it's not proving challenging for the hearing aid user to hear the phone call, but actually the person on the other end of the line. Phonak call their automatic setting AutoSense, and we're now on version 4. This clever technology allows the hearing aids to recognize and adapt automatically between these situations. Once the environment is recognized by the hearing aids, it then chooses from over 200 different setting combinations, blending the most appropriate features from each in order to optimize the settings for that particular listening environment. Introducing motion sensors is a very smart move from Phonak to use technology that we've seen from other manufacturers as well. And we've seen that for a while now in a few different generations. You may be thinking, why do my hearing aids need to know if I'm moving or not? This is all to do with their AutoSense setting, which is calculating the direction that you're most likely wanting to be hearing from. With motion sensor hearing, the hearing aids can detect when the hearing aid user is moving whilst having a conversation and will automatically adjust the directional microphones to focus on the speech. So let's think about this. In practice, if you're sat down at a table, you would normally want to hear the sound in front of you. However, if you think about it, as soon as we stand up and start walking, we would normally be having a conversation with somebody to the left or the right of us. The motion sensors help the hearing aids to recognize this and adjust the directionality of the microphones accordingly. The speech enhancer feature aims to significantly reduce listening effort, particularly when speech is coming from a distance. It does this by enhancing the softer sounds and bringing them into your audible range when you're in a quiet environment. For example, if somebody says something on the side to you quite quickly and quietly, this feature aims to just give you that little extra boost by another 10 decibels and bring that sound within your audible range. APD 2.0 is Phonak's new and improved fitting formula, which I'm pleased to say is closer to the traditional NAL NL2 that really is the gold standard in terms of targets that we as audiologists need to match during real ear measurements. This is when we're tailoring your hearing aids during the fitting process. Sadly, there are a lot of audiologists out there that don't perform real ear measurements and just fit the hearing aids out of the box, which I would not recommend. However, at least this improvement in APD 2.0 ensures that those hearing aid users will still have a slightly better chance of improved hearing. Dynamic noise cancellation is a spatial noise cancellation feature that works in combination with a directional beamformer to improve the signal-to-noise ratio in challenging listening situations. In English, this is Phonak noise reduction system, aiming to improve your hearing in background noise. Phonak have also introduced their tap control feature in their rechargeable version of Paradise. This comes in both the P70, the P90, and the Life. With the double tap of the ear, the user can play or pause music, end or accept phone calls, or even start your voice assistant, meaning that you can ask Siri or Google Assist to make a call, or you can ask things like what the weather's going to be like today without having to remove your phone from your pocket. In reality, I have had to switch Tap Assistant off with most of my patients, as it can sometimes be a little too sensitive, and the voice assistant can start up when the ear is tapped by accident, even when they're just putting the hearing aids in their ears. To combat this, Phonak have changed their app, which allows the user now to be able to change the sensitivity of the tap control in the app itself, which some of my patients have found very useful. As a whole, I think that Tap Assist is great in combination with the MyPhonak app, as it removes the challenges that come with fiddling with hard-to-press buttons on the back of hearing aids to make adjustments to your settings. I've discussed in videos that I've made in the past the future of hearing aid technology and the blending of different worlds, and this hearing aid is definitely a step in this direction, with the integration of hearing aids, hearables, and smartphones, creating this all-encompassing device that I think we'll all be wearing someday, even if we've got normal hearing. For me, this also definitely means that we'll be seeing more people wearing hearing tech, and it will help with the destigmatization of people wearing hearing aids in general. Each manufacturer has their own app for their Bluetooth-compatible hearing aids, which would be worth a video in itself just covering all of those apps' features. But to give you a very brief overview, the MyPhonak app is available on both iOS and Android devices and allows you to make adjustments to your hearing aids in several different ways. It's possible to adjust both the volume, different programs, and look at health data. Not only that, but the MyPhonak app also allows you to adjust some more finer details on hearing aids, such as adjusting the bass, mids, and trebles, changing the noise reduction settings and directionality on the hearing aids, and making them more or less focused in terms of picking up sounds from around you, 360 degrees, or having the microphones focused in front of you. If you do make these adjustments and you like what you've done, you can even save your own custom-made programs, so you can come back to them later on whenever you might need to. I personally think that this is a great tool, and it gives you, the hearing aid user, a little bit more independence away from your audiologist if you wish to make manual changes to the settings on your hearing aids. If, however, you're not one for making changes, don't panic. The hearing aids are still designed to be fully automatic and adapt to the environment around you all on their own. The most recent version of the app only came out a few weeks ago, which will allow health tracking data, including steps, activity levels, and optional goal setting, and average time worn in different sound environments. This update is available on both a new Life hearing aids, and a simple update will enable these features on a standard Audio Paradise as well. One fantastic feature that I've really taken advantage of over the last few years is the remote care feature, which is also done via the MyPhonak app. This allows me to adjust the settings on a hearing aid from the clinic whilst the patient is sat at home. Yeah, you heard me right. You can be sat in the comfort of your living room and me in the clinic, and we can adjust the hearing aids without you needing to get off your sofa. I personally don't like to make remote changes too early in the fitting process, as nothing beats having the patient sat in front of me to get those initial adjustments right. And it's more likely early on that we may need to look at making some physical changes, whether that's a wire length on the end of the hearing aid or the dome going inside your ear. There are also a few features that it's not possible to adjust remotely. However, for the most part, it's great to have this as a backup if you don't think you'll be able to make it into the clinic. During this process, you can even see your audiologist online via the webcam. The only other thing that I'm not very keen on with remote adjustments is the first thing that I would normally do if a patient walks into the clinic with any problems whatsoever with their hearing aids is to take a good look in the ear. And of course, I wouldn't have that ability if I'm making remote adjustments. So that means I couldn't rule out any other issues causing the challenges that they're experiencing. Now, Phonak have been fantastic at recognizing where hearing aid technology alone will struggle to overcome certain hearing challenges. And as a result, they have a range of accessories such as the TV connector, their Roger range such as the Roger On, table mic, touchscreen mic, Roger Select, and Roger Neck Loop. Historically, hearing aid manufacturers have needed an additional shoe to allow streaming from accessories. However, Phonak have found a clever way to integrate this within the hearing aids themselves, and this can be programmed by your audiologist in clinic without the need for any additional physical elements that you have to wear. So the hearing aids will communicate directly with all of those accessories. So I'm glad you've made it to this part of the video. All of the features that I've just run through are available in both Life hearing aids and standard Phonak hearing aids on the Paradise platform. So let's move on to what the main differences are there. Firstly, the waterproof rating. With the majority of hearing aids now, including the standard Audeos, you'll find that they have an IP68 rating, meaning that they can technically be submerged in 1.5 meters of water for 30 minutes and they should still function afterwards. This isn't just a rating reserved for hearing aids. You'll actually find it in a lot of tech that you use on a daily basis, such as the cell phone that you're possibly watching me on right now. Phonak are boasting that the new Audeo Life is the world's first fully waterproof rechargeable hearing aid. So what have they done to ensure this? They've added additional microphone protection, they've sealed the seams with silicone, coated the components with a Parylene coating, which I'm actually told is the same protection system that NASA use on their spacecraft. They've removed the titanium pins holding in the receivers, and finally they've redeveloped the charger, which I'm very pleased about for a few important reasons, and I'll come on to that shortly. Phonak aren't the first manufacturers to look at this, with ReSound doing something similar around 10 years ago when they used a nano coating on their hearing aids. However, it is the first time that it's been done with rechargeable hearing aids. I am quite frequently asked, but what about the receivers, Matthew? How can they be waterproof, as of course they have to allow sound to travel through them? Which is a great question. When Phonak performed all of the testing necessary to be able to apply a waterproof rating on the Life hearing aids, they really put the hearing aids through their paces. This robustness testing included a simulated sweat test representing 2 workouts a week for a 5-year period, a seawater test, a saltwater test, a chlorinated water test simulating 2 swims per week over a 5-year period as well, and of course freshwater testing, which was performed in a pressurized chamber, testing down to a depth of 50 centimeters 520 times. I mean, you can't argue that they've not put these hearing aids through their paces. The only test that I can think of that they could have added to the test battery would have been a shampoo water test, but there are so many variants of shampoo that I don't think in reality that would wash. See what I did there? All of those tests were performed with the receivers actually in place on the hearing aids. In reality, water just doesn't get to the open end of the receiver all that often, as it's buried deep inside the ear canal. So let's think about this. When it rains, it hits the device and not the receiver itself. Sweat or spray from a hose, even dunking your head underwater, the water doesn't often go into your ear canal, past the receiver, and then ingress back past the dome, wax filter, and into the aperture. Saying all of that, if something does happen to go wrong with your hearing aids, the weakest point on them is still the receiver, but that's no different from any other manufacturer now. The positive, however, is that should it go wrong, it's something that we can change on the spot in clinic, and it doesn't mean sending your hearing aid away back to Phonak to have it repaired. Technically, this hearing aid is also suitable with the new Phonak Active Vent receivers, which are Phonak's clever mechanical blend between a closed and an open fitting at the same time. One caveat on that, however, is I happen to know that they haven't performed any of those simulations using the Active Vent receiver. And due to the nature of how they work, I personally think that they will be way more likely to break down than when a standard hearing aid receiver is used. Now, even saying all of this, I'm not going to suggest to any of my patients that this is a hearing aid that they should be wearing underwater. Yes, it would be advantageous for a kid taking swimming lessons so they can hear their teacher. And yes, it would be great if you could wear it in the sea with your family on holiday when you're splashing around. But I would be absolutely amazed if it just stayed in place. I wouldn't want to be the one diving down to the bottom of the sea searching for it. In reality, I personally think that the point of the Life hearing aid is to just make you more comfortable when you're caught in the rain, by the pool, and really just giving you a device that can be more robust and you can have confidence in, and that it's not going to break down like we've seen with previous hearing aids from all manufacturers. Both the Audeo Life and standard Paradise range have a rechargeable version across all technology levels, which is the industry standard using lithium-ion technology. This means that for a 3-hour charge, once you get a full 24 hours of battery life, and there's clever circuitry in place, meaning that the hearing aids can be left on charge overnight and it shouldn't do any damage to the batteries. The battery life is reduced with more streaming. However, even with constant streaming throughout the day, the batteries will still last for a full waking day. I haven't had anybody coming back to me yet with these hearing aids complaining that they haven't been lasting for a full day. The great thing that I really like is that if you forget to charge them one night, you can still put them in the charger for 30 minutes when getting ready in the morning, and that will give you a 6-hour charge from a 30-minute blast in the charger. With the standard Paradise, it is also possible to buy an additional power pack which can be attached to the base of your charger and means that you can charge on the go. The standard Phonak Audeo uses 2 contacts on the hearing aids and the same method of charging that's been used by Phonak since they brought out rechargeable hearing aids. This charging case needs to be plugged into the mains to charge your hearing aids. The downside of this setup is you do need to push the hearing aids down to lock them in place to ensure that there's full contact. The main issue that I've had with this is that because the hearing aids are locked in place when they're inserted, some patients do find it difficult to remove the hearing aids from the charger, which is not an issue with a new charger for the Audeo Lifes. The new charger from the Lifes is an induction charger similar to those from Widex, ReSound and Oticon, meaning that there are no external contacts on the hearing aids that need to align with the contacts on the charging unit. And the main reason that Phonak have done this is to make sure that the hearing aids are fully watertight. But the other positive to take away from that is it means it's really easy to remove them from the charger. The other huge plus with this new charging unit is that it stores up to 3 full charges in the unit itself. So your hearing aids can be charged on the go without them always needing to be plugged into a power source. This is great for if you go camping for a weekend or if you're traveling and you may not have access to a power source. You can keep the hearing aids stored in the case and they'll constantly be being charged. Phonak released their Paradise Cross system earlier on this year, which is used to manage single-sided deafness. A cross system in simple terms is a transmitter which would sit on an ear that doesn't function very well or not well enough to wear a hearing aid, and then it sends that signal to a hearing aid working on the other ear and therefore gives the hearing aid user access to any sound hitting that dead ear. Whilst this is a feature that works with the standard Audeo Paradise, unfortunately, the new Audeo Life is not currently cross-compatible. If you're not familiar with the telecoil, then I would definitely recommend checking out this video, which I recently recommended covering the advantages of having a telecoil built into your hearing aid, which even includes sound files and gives you a real flavor of the benefit that you can expect from using a telecoil and a loop system. If your hearing aid does have a telecoil built in, then you can connect wirelessly to a microphone set at a distance, and you should be able to hear the person speaking into that microphone just as if you were stood next to them. You may have seen this sign in various places letting you know to activate the T setting on your hearing aids to connect to it. And it can make a huge difference hearing at a distance in the likes of a lecture, church, or at the theatre. So looking back at the models that I showed you earlier, any of the models with the T next to them have the telecoil built in. Sadly, on the other hand, the Audeo Life doesn't have the telecoil and is therefore not a feature that you would have access to. For me, whilst this isn't a deal breaker, it's a trade-off that I think that Phonak would have been better to avoid. If it were up to me, I would have the telecoil built in and activated on every hearing aid out there. So guys, I hope that you found this summary useful. As you can see, there are a huge number of similarities between the two hearing aids and each one with some key bonus features. I don't really know what Phonak were thinking by not including the telecoil or cross system in the new Life range, as if it had those, they would be the perfect hearing aids with all of the features that you would possibly need to hear as effectively as possible. If you're already wearing a standard Audeo Paradise, then I wouldn't consider changing your hearing aids unless you spend a lot of time around water and you're choosing not to wear your hearing aids as a result. However, if you don't suffer with single-sided deafness and don't feel the need for a telecoil, then they could be a good fit for you. If you like this video, then please press like. If you have any questions or comments, drop them beneath this video and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. I'll see you in the next video.